Today we're breaking down Weapons, a film the director claims was inspired by alcoholism, but trust me, they packed this thing with so much occult symbolism it might as well be a ritual. A missing classroom of kids in Maybrook, PA, where the mascot is a goat. A mass sleepwalking event that goes down at 2:17 a.m. on 8/8. The Sirius Lion Gates portal, parasitic mind control, numerology tying into Osiris, Q, and Crowley's Liber 77, plus a witch ant literally weaponizing children through magic. This movie hints at the subconscious, the basement, the hidden sun, and maybe the end times of the new Aeon. My supporters got to vote on which film analysis they wanted for their bonus show for the month of October, and this controversial new film called Weapons was the winner, so I'm here to deliver, and I'll be honest, I'm a bit surprised at how much I was able to find here. Join along as we decode Weapons. We're going to walk through this whole film, starting with a brief discussion of the cast and all that stuff I do, the preamble for the movie. Then we're going to hit the ground running. We've got some hidden messaging, goats with the bobs. We got 1948. What that means, the Sirius Lion Gates portal of the blazing star of Freemasonry. 217 and the meaning of that. Connections to Stephen King, The Shining, QAnon, Osiris and the Resurrection Ritual, Mark of the Beast, parasitic mushrooms, 7 glizzies, and the meaning of that bell with the triangle with the number 6, the tree, MKULTRA, Campbell soup, Coca-Cola. We'll pull it all together. In the conclusion, I'll pitch my theory about the coded meaning of this film as the summoning of the Antichrist through Aleister Crowley's Whore of Babylon. Now, that's a lot because there's a lot to get through. So we're going to try to buzz through this thing. And if you're free feed losing, you're going to get a preview. And you're going to say, dang, Isaac, I want to buy you a coffee so hard right now to unlock the whole show, along with the hundreds of other bonus shows you do every single month for the supporters, and go ad-free with early access and the whole works. Well, you got 3 options for supporter feeds. The one I recommend is patreon.com/IlluminatiWatcher. The easiest one is Apple Premium. The cheapest one, if you can copy and paste an RSS feed link and deal with me as your tech support guru, IlluminatiWatcher.com, the VIP section. Everything is always linked in the bio. See if this is your month to buy me a cup of coffee. With inflation, it's now cheaper than a cup of coffee. Oh, my goodness. And thank you for all my supporters that have been supporting the show, keeping it alive. Appreciate you, as always. Now, I'll put a bunch of episodes in the show notes that you can link to. You can check out if you want to dig deeper into some of these topics that I'm going to bring up throughout the analysis. For maybe the newbies that don't understand some of these concepts and it's too confusing, because we don't have time to unpack the gory details of each of these kind of complex theories. So I'm going to refer you to the episodes that I'll link in the show notes, okay? Also, another reminder for my people that are on Patreon or VIP section, if you're looking for the video version of this, that's a tier 2 perk, right? I know it's goofy, right? But anyway, this is how it was set up years ago, back in 2017 when I started this. So tier 2 is the video version of the show where you can watch the movie clips and all the images I'm talking about as I bring them up. That's going to be on tier 2. And when you're on tier 2, there's going to be a link in every episode show notes for the tier 2 video index. Okay? All right. Now, the preambles I do for the movie reviews, because I find these important. How long is this movie? Well, it's over 2 hours, just barely, which honestly kind of surprised me for how speedy this thing moved through the story. So it's 2 hours, but little asterisks, it moves pretty quick. And in fact, the next question you're going to ask is, well, should I watch it before I listen? It's one of the better horror movies I've seen in a while. It's a great little horror mystery. But there's a few very gory scenes, so if you're a little sensitive, maybe you're not going to love these couple of scenes where it gets pretty gory. In fact, when I watched the trailer for this movie, I thought it looked stupid. I wasn't going to watch it. But due to high demand and, of course, the supporter feeds who voted on what movie analysis they wanted for their bonus show for October, Weapons was the winner. So here you go. And like I said earlier, I actually watched this movie and I thought, okay, I mean, there's some witchcraft in there. I can figure out something to talk about with this guy. And then it won the poll that I did. And I rewatched it and I thought, there's a ton of stuff in here. So I'm glad this worked out very well. because we'll go through it. Okay, there's a ton of stuff in here, and if you do plan on watching this, I highly recommend watching it before listening to this analysis, because it's the mystery of the movie that keeps you locked in for those 2 hours. Okay. Now, the next segment, of course, who's in it? You got the cast and the crew. Directed and written by Zach Kreger, who also wrote and directed Barbarian, which was also a great movie. Fun fact, he's married to Sarah Paxton. She was in Twin Peaks: The Return. She played Candy Shaker, and she is, which I'm just now realizing, quite the curious name, because she plays this sort of eye candy character. So kind of a funny play on words for her name in Twin Peaks. Also, side plug, I just got back from Seattle, and where I got to meet Ray Wise and Cheryl Lee and Mary Reber and David Lynch's sister. It was insane. It was incredible. And if you want to learn more about that, I've got a special edition Grey Lodge episode over on breaking social norms, because I took my lovely wife Josie and we unpack the trip to Seattle, what it's like, what we talked to them, some crazy questions I asked. You can hear what Cheryl Lee thought of my tattoo of her and how she shot me down. You'll have to listen for more of the exciting details on breaking social norms. Okay. Now, in the movie, so Sarah Paxton is also in Weapons. She plays the wife of Justin Long's character. He was in a movie called Idiocracy, which we prophetically covered in March of 2023, because we keep marching down this stupid path. Again, I'll link that Idiocracy in the show notes. It was a great time doing that analysis, because that was one of my favorite movies back when I watched it in 2005 or whatever it was. Now, the producer of Weapons was a guy named Roy Lee, and I never heard about this guy, but he's produced just about every movie in history. If you don't believe me, look him up on Wikipedia. I won't even try to go through the list. It's insane. Josh Brolin, old big head there, plays Archer. I've heard something about how Hollywood likes actors with big heads, and my man's got a big head. All right, big head for some big brains. And he was in The Goonies, right? Which I will do a film analysis on sometime here for my number one supporter, Cheryl. It's in the works. Give me 12 months. I know I work on a slow, but I can't rush art. Okay. When the stars align, I will make that happen. He was also in No Country for Old Men, which I criminally have not even seen yet. It's on my list. I got to watch it. I know it's great. He also plays Thanos in the Avengers, and he's in Dune. What more could you ask for? Well, you could ask for an 80s movie called Thrashing, where he's a skateboarder that stars Sherilyn Fenn, our beloved Audrey Horne, who still has me blocked on Instagram. And I did watch Thrashing a while ago. Great 80s movie. You can't stop Josh Brolin, is what I'm trying to get at here. Even when it comes to wives, he's been married and divorced 3 times, including Diane Lane. He's a Nepo baby. His dad was an actor. His dad was in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. And at the end of the movie in Pee-wee's Big Adventure, you see a film being made about the life of Pee-wee Herman. And guess who plays Pee-wee Herman? My man, Josh Brolin's dad. So, and his mom, and Josh Brolin's mom was a casting director. His stepmom is Barbara Streisand. Of course he's going to be a famous celebrity, right? Now, he says, he tells his life history that he grew up in the rough side of town, which I thought, really? That's kind of strange. He said he was rolling with a bunch of punk rockers and they were stealing cars to support his heroin addiction. So, hey, I'm not judging. Now, Archer was originally going to be played by Pedro Pascal, but he had committed to Fantastic Four, which I met my man down in Salt Lake was going to see Fantastic Four. I'm waiting for him to hit me up and tell me how it was. I met him at the Italian Fest. Anyway, yeah, Pedro Pascal was going to be Archer, but they tapped Big Head to get in there and do it. Julia Garner, she plays Justine Gandy, and she was in the Netflix show Ozark with Jason Bateman. The first couple seasons were great. I stopped watching it for no reason at all. And she's most famous for that meme of if you want to stop me, you're gonna have to kill me.
If you want to stop me, you're gonna have to fucking kill me.
You know what I'm talking about, or if you don't, maybe I'm more chronically online than some of you. She was in a show called The Americans. I've never seen it. She was in Apartment 7A, which was the prequel to Rosemary's Baby, which I surprisingly liked. I thought that was fair. Everyone hated it. They proceeded to shat on it. I don't know why. I thought it was good enough. She was in Sin City, A Dame to Kill For, the sequel, and that also starred Josh Brolin. Alden Ehrenreich, I don't know if I'm saying his name right. He plays the police officer Paul. He got his start after meeting Spielberg at a bar mitzvah and later worked on Francis Ford Coppola's Tito after auditioning by reading Catcher in the Rye, which we did a 2-part series on in February of 2025. Again, I'll link in the show notes. Unless you're on the VIP section, I can't link. You're just going to have to scroll back in time to that correct episode. Patreon, I'll try to dig up the links for you guys to keep it easy. Apple Premium, obviously, I can't link those. You're going to see links in the free feed, but that's for the free feed ad-filled versions of those episodes. So my recommendation, if you're on the supporter feed, scroll back, avoid the ads. Benedict Wong plays Marcus. He's the principal. He was in Sunshine, which we just did a film analysis for as the bonus episode in August, I believe. And he was also in The Avengers with Josh Brolin. Amy Madigan, she plays Aunt Gladys. She was in Uncle Buck, Field of Dreams, Gone Baby Gone. She was in Carnival, which I want to rewatch. I watched that back in the day when it came out. Stars the man from Another Place from Twin Peaks. Now, I didn't know this, but she's been married to Ed Harris since 1983. And he's always in good stuff. He was in Truman Show. He played Christoph, which we covered Truman Show back in January 2020. Even the soundtrack is full of stars. The movie features prominently one of George Harrison's biggest songs called Beware of Darkness, which featured apparently Eric Clapton, Ringo Starr, Gary Wright, and of course George Harrison. But it's a song about not getting bogged down in the illusory nature of reality, what they call Maya. The Toltecs call it Maya. And it's about finding one's own true will and purpose, which is very apropos for the Aleister Crowley aspect that we're going to tie into, since he was the guy who basically came up with this idea of pursuing one's true will. All right? It's about pursuing your universal purpose. Now, we're going to get into the movie. Plot spoilers coming. I'm going to walk you through the whole thing. So even if you're scared a little bit, I'll walk you through. You don't need to be scared. You don't need to see the gore. I'll walk you through. And it's the perfect time. It's spooky season, of course. So without further ado, let's get into it. We start with a young female narrator, and she sounds like the girl on, if you've heard the great album Liquid Swords by GZA from the Wu-Tang Clan. Anyway, she sounds like her, but she claims this is a true story. I'm like, oh, here we go with the true story thing. We just talked about this with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Anyway, she says a true story happened 2 years ago. The news won't cover it because the government and police couldn't solve it, and they can never admit to incompetency. And it talks about this elementary school in Maybrook, PA. It was actually filmed in Georgia because there is no Maybrook, PA. But listen to this girl. She's going to basically explain the whole mystery of this film. So take a listen. Now, right off the rip, we're going to see some images, and you got to look. You got to frame by frame it. The Maybrook mascot is a goat, right? I don't see no bobs, but the bobs are there. We just don't see it on the logo for the school. But the mascot's a goat. You see it on the logo. You see some posters. Now, in the opening shot, if you're not watching the video version of this podcast, the opening shot, you see the teacher, Justine Grady, walking down the hallway, and you'll see a lot of posters on the wall, and it's like class president, running for class president posters, whatever, right? Silly stuff. One poster out of all those doesn't have any text on it at all. Clearly begging for our attention, but you wouldn't notice it. In fact, I didn't see it the first 2 times I watched this movie. And to me, what it looks like, and it's hard to tell. I try to run it in HD on my big screen, and it wasn't any better. But you can see the images I'll put on the Instagram at Isaac Weishaupt. Like and subscribe, or I'll put on the video version for my video folks. What you're going to see is what appears to be, I would argue, a magician on the peak of a mountain with a goat climbing the mountain, and you're going to see 17 kids, each in a little pond, a little like body of water. I counted it up, 17 exactly. And this is very important. It's very important because that's what the story is. It's about at 2:17 a.m., 17 students disappear. So it's very important. And I liken this to the initiation ritual of Jodorowsky's film, The Holy Mountain. In fact, the colors on it, for some reason, strike me as similar to The Holy Mountain for no reason at all. It's like the blue and the yellow. But nonetheless, that tells you this film is loaded down with symbolism that they've baked into the background. In fact, I'm going to tell you right now, I bet I could watch this again a fourth time and probably find even more. All right. Now, the new teacher, her name is Justine Gandy, and she goes to class. There's only one student named Alex Lilly. That's our protagonist. That's our hero's journey guy. All right. And in the background of the classroom, the first time I watched this, there's a board of whales with some weird words that look like magical incantations to me. Okay. And I'm going to prove to you why you should trust me, because I looked them up, and it turns out I'm very wrong about that. The words are Odontoceti and Mysticeti. And it turns out those are actually species of whales. I mean, like my PA public education failed me, apparently. So not magical incantations at all. I thought they were, like odontocetes. I don't know how to. I'm so stupid. I don't know how to say the words. Odontocetes. They are the whales that have teeth, and Mysticeti. They use what they call baleen. They filter out food through these big mouths full of water. I don't know. There's this thing with sea creatures in this movie that I can't quite unpack yet. There's sharks and whales and all kinds of stuff. Now, you also see in the classroom, very briefly, again, you got to freeze it frame by frame, something there's a poster board about killings in India in 1948. I looked this up. It's got to be referencing the assassination of Gandhi, all right, because that's when that happened. Funny enough, the teacher's last name is Gandhi. Got to be on purpose. Later on, we'll also see one of the house numbers is 1948. Why all the references to 1948? Well, there was one particular place that was formally established and given statehood as its own country, and it's been very controversial ever since. It's about the size of New Jersey. The colors are blue and white. Is this film referencing that? I believe it is. I have some ideas that we're going to talk about in the conclusion, but it's relevant. Somehow, I'll explain it to you. Now, it's 2:17 in the morning, and those 17 students, they all wake up, they walk out their home, they never come back. They do that little Naruto run where their arms are flailing back. The director claims that this was influenced by that horrendous Vietnam War photo of the girl who got napalmed running. Ugh, brutal, right? Now, fun fact, the first theater run of this movie started the movie at 2:17 p.m. Furthermore, it was released on August 8th, which is the peak of the Lionsgate portal for Sirius. And this is quite important in terms of astrology because it's the peak of Sirius's power as it comes into alignment with Orion and Earth. And the sun activates the power of Sirius. We get the dog days of summer, which is a reference to the dog star, Sirius. And it's a time of manifestation for magicians, which is very important because that's what this thing is all about, all right? And I talked heavily about Sirius and the importance of that star system to the occult in my book, The Dark Path. If you haven't heard that, I narrated it for Audible. It's my bestseller. Unloaded a ton of copies on Amazon. I got signed copies at my new web store, occultsymbolism.com, where you can also pick up my mushroom infused coffee. Oh my goodness. You want to hit that CrossFit WOD? You want that high tea? I don't know. It's very good coffee though. Mushroom infused coffee at occultsymbolism.com and the Dark Path. But the reason that Sirius is important, to give you a very short version of it, is because these occultists believe in cosmic energy, which comes through Sirius, which is why you see in Freemasonry they have the symbol of the blazing star, which is actually a reference to Sirius. And this goes back to the Babylonians and Aleister Crowley and Kenneth Grant. They call this the hidden sun, the sun behind the sun, right? They say it's the source of the occult powers, the thelemic current of magic. And again, the eschatology of Crowley will play into my theory on what is happening in this film, all right? Now, 2:17 is also important. 2:17 a.m. is when they got up out of bed, right? 2:17, also part of the story of The Shining and Dr. Sleep, the sequel to The Shining, which is about alcoholism with Jack Torrance and Danny Torrance, which is a major part of this film. And the director confirmed it as his experience. We're going to talk about that later on in the conclusion. But as far as The Shining connection, recall I did a 3-part Shining analysis just recently. And it's also entirely up on, I made a 1 long video on YouTube. It's like 3.5 hours. Okay. So subscribe on YouTube at Occult Symbolism. I can upload some of my video analysis there. Some of them they block. They blocked the video clips from it. But anyway, I talked about how in the analysis, to try to keep this simple, I'm not going to make you go listen to the full 3.5 hours unless you want all the gory details. We talked about how Stephen King's novel has Danny finding the woman in room 217. And I talked about how this is a reference to the story of Bluebeard and the hidden chamber. And in Stephen King's book, Jack actually finds George Hatfield in the bathtub in 217. All right. Because in the movie version, you see the woman in the bathtub of 237, because, Kubrick changes it to 237. And all that's important because it ties into Kabbalah with the mikveh, the cleansing ritual bath, and all that stuff. Now, to stick to weapons and 217, there's a lot of theories about what that could symbolize. Some people say it's the 2 parents and the 17 children who all get under the spell of the witch. But there's a spiritual meaning of 217 as well, which we'll have to unpack at the end. And there's a lot of numerology in the film, all right? Like I said, it's got symbolism for sure, no denying it. So we have to now look at all the other aspects of it. Because normally, I don't get into too deep in the gematria and numerology, but as you'll find out when we go through the film, there's Kabbalistic ideas going on, all right? And the 17th letter in the alphabet is Q. And back in 2020, we did a Q Anon symbolism show. I think it was like a 3-parter. And you're probably going to know where we went with this, because we talked about how Osiris was killed on the 17th day of March, as per Plutarch. Now, March 17th is the 77th day of the year. And that ties into 77, which is one of Crowley's favorite numbers because of Liber 77. And you also see it on the sigil for the Star of Babylon that he created. And maybe you're picking up what I'm putting down. I'll explain it at the end in case you're not. It's not time yet, right? Let's keep going though. I know I sound like a lunatic. If you're not familiar with these things, you're probably like, bro, what are you rambling on about? Then we get the title screen for the movie. It says weapons. It has for the O in weapons, it has a circle. And inside the circle is a triangle. Oh, what could it mean? Oh, my goodness. Well, you probably know where we're going because it has to do with magic. All right. All right. Cut the music. Cut the music. What I want from you, all you free feed losers. I'm just kidding. For real, though, this is your boy Isaac. And as you know, this show stays alive because of the supporters. For less than a cost of a cup of coffee a month, you can unlock the ad-free experience, unlock hundreds of monthly bonus episodes, just like today's bonus episode of Weapons. This analysis continues on for close to an hour and a half. And if you go and sign up at one of the 3 supporter platforms, you're going to continue to embark on this journey where we do some heavy-duty decoding of the occult symbolism packed into this movie. It's going to change the way you see the movie. It's going to change the way you see the world even. Believe that or not. We're talking about the embracing of the apocalyptic imagery and how it actually conforms to a lot of the occult formulas for bringing about the end times through the Whore of Babylon. Sounds crazy, I know, but it's a very clear theory to me that I concocted for you. So if you want to unlock the full show and get all those other things I'm always talking about, the one I recommend to everyone is patreon.com/Illuminati Watcher. And that's where you get, you're going to get books, free ebooks. You get, early access, ad free, all that stuff. And you're going to be in the chat. I got a chat room. Yeah, you can chat in the comments. It's a good time. You connect with the whole audience. It's the coolest comment section in the world by far. And that's what I always recommend people towards. And I would also chime in that you might want to go tier 2. You get the video version of the show, which I've been putting a ton of effort into these videos. My goodness. Including this one where you can see all the images that I'm talking about on the screen. Just makes it easy for you. So if you go tier 2 or tier 1 or 3 or 4, tier 3 and 4, you get a very exclusive t-shirt, by the way. But whatever one you get, you're going to unlock the full show. You can also do Apple Premium, where you mash the button and you're in. And that one, there's no tiers. It's just you get the ad-free early access bonus content for years, including the 55-episode Twin Peaks Grey Lodge, which is on all 3 of the platforms, so supporter platforms, or IlluminatiWatcher.com VIP section, where, you're going to get an RSS feed. As long as you know how to copy and paste that RSS feed into one of the compatible podcast apps, you're good to go. You can save the most money on that. You can also do annual plans to save money on all 3 platforms. I mean, there's a million options here, and they're all great options, and they're all less than a cup of coffee, right? For tier 1. Tier 2, that's like a pumpkin spice latte, I'm hitting them PSLs right now. I gotta chill with it, man. My clothes are getting tight. But anyways, you want to support the show, you want to keep it alive, you want to get all the goods, you know where to go, you know what to do. Links are always in the show notes. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go to allmylinks.com/Isaac, ISAAC. That's my link tree where you can find the jump off points for all the supporter platforms. My occultsymbolism.com store with the mushroom infused coffee and the t-shirts and the signed books and everything. I got all kinds of links there. So lots of places for you to go. Thank you for listening to the show. Till next time, stay positive.